I want to talk about a story that was pretty wild this weekend. You know, we've kind of covered the trajectory of women's sports on the show as they've continued to explode. And, you know, again, I've been covering this for a long, long time. I've been trying. I would much prefer just cover the sports as sports, but unfortunately, the very existence and popularity of women's sports remains a topic as the viability of those leagues continues to solidify and the fan bases continue to grow, and the leagues continue to punch themselves in the face. This weekend, the WNBA's preseason continued, and unfortunately, much of it happened in front of the fans that were there and nobody else. Friday night, Caitlin Clark made her debut in what was a hell of a game. Preseason, the atmosphere was crazy because it was Caitlin Clark. They sold out in Dallas, full arena, and Arika Gumbawale winds up hitting this step back, nasty three-pointer buzzer beater. Yeah, Arike doing Arike things, as she is wont to do, maybe the best clutch player in the league. Hits a banger. Clark, by the way, amazing. Had like 16, I think, in the first half. Hit a bunch of threes, like deep, step back. You know, Caitlin Clark looking like Caitlin Clark. And it was great to watch. And you're like, this is awesome. This is going to be the norm, at least for this year for Indiana. If not, hopefully, as long as she's in the league, and hopefully as she's in the league, like everyone else gets that same atmosphere. And then Angel Reese made her debut and also was in front of a massive audience on Facebook. Sorry, on Twitter. Not on like the game was broadcast on Twitter. But a fan of the Minnesota Lynx who was at the game was just like, I'm gonna live stream it from my phone. Which, by the way, I used to sit next to a guy at Mystics games a couple years ago who did this on Facebook, and I was just like, "What are you doing, bro? Like the games, who's watching the game on your Facebook phone feed?" Well, and the stream from Twitter user Hey It's Allie had at least 562,000 viewers at once. The video of the in-game live stream has racked up in total since Friday, as of this publication of this article, which was yesterday at 3:00, 2.4 million views.
2.4, good gracious.
Okay, 2.4 million, and even the 562,000 that they had like at the time, that's like a real. If a game gets that, like that's a big number. I mean, as someone who's covered the NWSL for a while, like there's like a couple years ago now, the NWSLs continue to grow as well, and like that would still be a good number, but is no longer like a record-breaking number. But like a couple years ago, that would have been like a record-breaking number for the NWSL to get that on CBS. Like that is more than we'll watch a lot of, like I'd imagine, playoff hockey games on TNT. Like 562,000 is a big. Is like I'm gonna say big. Is a significant television number.
And you gotta point out it was on a Sunday. So
this was Friday night.
Oh,
or no, sorry. This was. When was this game? I think it was Saturday. I think it was Saturday.
Still Saturday. Like people.
It's on Saturday. Yeah, people got stuff to do. It's springtime. It's generally nice, and also it's a terrible phone live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Like this wasn't some crystal clear. There's no graphics. There's no different camera angles. It's just a girl or a woman or a man. I don't know who this. I'm guessing it's a girl or a woman because she said Allie is her name in the Twitter thing. But it's like, I'm just a big Minnesota Lynx fan is her bio, and it's her on her phone just holding it up. And the league, like this, obviously blew up. Right? Twitter's like, this is nuts. What are we doing here? And after the game, Minnesota coach Cheryl Reeve was asked about it. And she's basically was like, business as usual isn't good enough anymore. Like, we need to do better. And sure enough, the Liberty Sky game, I think it's tonight. And again, that's the other thing about this number. This is for a preseason game. A preseason game. 562,000 people watching it on a stupid phone stream. And I don't say stupid for any other reason than it was like blurry. No graphics, no commentary, no nothing.
People want to see them
562,000.
play, man.
Yeah, people want to see an Angel Reese, Camila Cardoza debut. And tonight, all of a sudden, the W has been like, yep, Liberty and Sky will be broadcast with broadcasters, blah, 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 on these stations and will be available on WNBA League Pass. And it was interesting to watch the discourse afterwards because people were like, here are the challenges why they haven't done this. And it's like, you have to produce the games. And like, is it the W's responsibility? Is it the local teams? You know, in the preseason for the NBA, like most of the games are produced by the teams. But that's the thing is like all these teams have broadcasts. And in the regular season, I believe that's how it works for the W too. Like most W games, they don't actually travel their road announcers. So like Christy and Megan, who call the games for the Mystics, Megan McPeak are good, actually both are good friends of the show. Megan McPeak and Christy Winter-Scott, they don't necessarily travel to road games on the home team. So let's say they play at Dallas. The Dallas broadcast is shown on Monumental. It's a way to save costs in a league that is still trying to get its financial footing underneath it and be more independent of the NBA and all of those things. And that's fine if they want to make that decision as long as you have a good, high-quality broadcast. Although I do think you are missing opportunities for sales to make money. But, like, how hard is it to just ask the home team to do that for 2 extra games? Or for the league to just fork over the cash or sell preseason sponsorships? Like, this is the thing about where women's sports is right now is for years, people would tell themselves there was no interest. I think that's a lie. We have no empirical evidence because people, the institutions, television, even the leagues themselves, would not give fans the opportunity to express how interested they were. Now, some of those opportunities exist. Undoubtedly, the interest has grown. And instead of being like, oh, cool, an opportunity, let's invest, let's make some money here, they're like, we weren't ready. And it's like, then what are you doing in charge? And that's just, it's for all of the crazy, stupid people that say terrible things about women's sports. Those people aren't watching. And so that's why I would argue that the biggest hindrance to the growth of women's sports currently is some of the people in charge of women's sports. And I would point directly at Kathy Engelbart, the commissioner of the WNBA, who should have watched what was happening with Caitlin Clark as more people watched college basketball games this year than had ever watched men's or women's on like random Tuesday nights on the Big Ten Network. As there's every outlet that broadcasts her games saw record-breaking numbers and gone, I wonder if people are going to watch us a month after this season ends when there's not football on TV and when there's not NBA basketball on TV as regularly and NHL hockey and all the things. And it's us and Major League Baseball. Maybe people were going to want to watch. And were they ready? No. Caught with their hands not in the cookie jar. It's embarrassing. And it's wild to me that they could be like, how could we have known? I don't know. How are you in charge of something so popular and you don't realize, A, that it's popular, and B, you're not trying to do everything you possibly can to make it more popular? Like, it's just bad business, bro.
Exactly. Capitalizing already on the momentum that Caitlin brought into, Angel Reese brought into, who knows what, South
Can't
Carolina.
break out in L.A., like,
exactly.
on down the freaking
all these
list.
People. So.
And the W was already, like, the W numbers last year were the highest they'd ever been. The league was already growing without the supercharge of the most famous rookie class that's existed in professional sports, period, in the last, I don't even know how long. Like, what NFL or NBA draft class came in with this much pop and depth? Like, Zion in the NBA, Zion and Ja, they came in. They were 2 deep. This one's like 5 deep. I mean, we thought the 2021 NFL quarterback class was pretty good. Whoopsies!
Were we wrong?
But there's like, it's just is hard to have an influx of this much young talent and this much known commodity young talent and just fumble the bag this much. It's infuriating. It's infuriating as someone who wants to see women's sports succeed. It's infuriating as someone who, like, wants to actually watch the games. It's if you're like some unadulterated capitalist who just loves the money part of this should drive you insane. I don't get it, man. State Farm would pay for the whole freaking thing. Like a good neighbor, State Farm could be there, but you're too stupid to call them. They said the wrong thing, and some celebrity showed up instead of Jake. You hate to see it. Did you think when Ludacris was rapping about anything or Ludacris was rapping about when we were growing up, that in the future he'd be doing insurance commercials?
Never in my 27 years. No.
Making jokes about rollout lyrics.
Roll out. Throwing them bows.
Yeah. As Ludacris was throwing them bows back in 2004.
Yeah.
Did you think that State Farm would come coming? But they have a lot of money. And Snoop Dogg does Skechers commercials, so what are you going to do?
Hey, this is DA, and you're listening to The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.